Hello, everybody. Welcome along. It is the Benjamin Bloom Football Show here today with another Championship game week preview. We are up to game week number 39 after the restart. Everyone got through week number 1, didn't they? Lots and lots of interesting results and some very interesting fixtures coming up this game week. Indeed, let yourself be known if you are here in the chat by either hitting the thumbs up button or getting involved in the comments. We have 12 games this game week to go through. So if you would like to, please get involved with your predictions in the comments. We will go through each game one by one, but let's just quickly, if we can do that, we'll flash up the fixtures just so you can have a look, see how this weekend is going to pan out. Friday night, big one, Brentford versus West Brom. Charlton QPR, Preston, Cardiff and Swansea Luton all kick off early on Saturday at 12:30. Then Barnsley, Millwall, Derby, Reading at 1 o'clock. The 3 o'clocks, Birmingham, Hull, the big one, Leeds, Fulham at the top there. Wigan against Blackburn and Stoke. Borough, Neil Warnock's first game at Borough, are the 3 o'clock kickoffs, 4 of them there. And on Sunday, Bristol City still in the playoff hunt versus Sheffield Wednesday. And Forest, currently in 5th place, are playing Huddersfield. Those are this weekend's fixtures. As I say, we will go through and have a little look one by one. So get your comments in, hit that thumbs up button, and we will go through each of these games. Let me know how you think your team is going to go, and predictions would be well valid. Let's start with that first one there, and it is a big one indeed. Brentford in 4th versus West Brom in 1st, and I will take this moment here to say, look, you read that? Brentford versus West Brom, March the 17th. I would have been at this game were it not for the damn lockdown. It was one I was really, really looking forward to, and I still am. This will be on Friday night on Sky TV. The plan is, after I've done some bits and bobs in my hometown of Ipswich, to get back and cover this one for you guys on the channel. Fingers crossed that all works out. So I should be able to see you all tomorrow for that. That said, we better get it done now in case I don't get to cover it. So Brentford in 4th, really good start back from them with that big win at Fulham. You're looking at it as a 9-game mini-season. If you start with a direct away win against your opponents, then looking pretty good, I would have thought. The form, we're going to start to get more of an indication once we've played 3 or 4 games. I'll put up the last 6 like I have then, but that's going to work its way across and you can actually see the current form. Although most teams, a lot of teams, stuck with the kind of form they were in anyway. We didn't get that many crazy results, did we, in the first game week? Brentford looking very good. Brian Mbeumo was isolated due to COVID. He will be back and no doubt starting. Janssen back in the defence. Otherwise, clean bill of health. Brentford looking strong. The accusations maybe of flakiness in the past look like we can kind of write them off after they were quite tight against Fulham and played Mitrovic very nicely in that game. West Brom, I mean, look at the form. A draw against Birmingham in the last game. Stacked defence from Birmingham pretty much, but Brentford obviously aren't going to do that. They're travelling to Griffin Park. Is Griffin Park as intimidating a prospect without supporters in? I don't know. What I would say is top of the league and only 2 wins in 6, 9 points in 6. It's not top of the league form, is it? So maybe Baggies need to pick things up a little bit. Bad news for them. Nathan Ferguson's not going to be probably playing another game ever for West Brom unless something strange happens indeed. I did like the look of the team there. Hegazi now back into the defence. Pereira off the front. Diangana back on the bench. Very, very strong. But will it be the whole, which maybe favours Brentford against the individuals. I know Bilic has had West Brom playing well, but you would say the better drilled team could be Brentford in this case. Let's look at some comments from you guys. Please get your comments in. Lee says, even though Baggy's not scored in 3, Bees win, I reckon. Elliot, 2-1 Bees. What's that say, Elliot? Benny Boy, have you had a fan knee in the sun? I don't know what that means. Am I looking red in the face? Let's hope not. What's that? 0-0 both teams. Is that a game that's going on at the moment? Probably. Some Premier League games going on at the moment. John says this could go either way. Baggies to nick it for me. We're fairly mixed here. We're very mixed. Look, Andrew, Brentford v West Brom draw, and Jaggy also. West Brom v Brentford score draw written all over it. Interesting. Don't think there's any more predictions. We're very, very mixed there. I don't know why. I have no reason to say this at all. I just got a sneak for West Brom in this one. I've got no idea why. It's just a hunch. I get praised for my good analytical skills, but I've got nothing more than a hunch that West Brom are going to carve out enough chances to nick this one, possibly by 1 goal. What I will say is if Brentford do win this one, the top of the table starts to look very, very interesting indeed. Let's bring it up. In fact, there it is. So Brentford would close to within 5 points of West Brom. Imagine Fulham also beat Leeds. They would then be 4 points. And okay, the gap is still big. Could we get an automatic promotion race? I've been kind of ruling against it. But yeah, hey ho. It could happen. Let's check. Any more comments here? Doesn't look like it. Right, let's move on. Get your comments in. They couldn't have written these fixtures any better, could they? First against 4th and second against 3rd. This was going to be a huge match before lockdown. There would have been tons of people at Ellen Road, sell out 35,000 or whatever the attendance is. Get your predictions in for this one. It's a rarity, actually, a 3 o'clock kickoff for Leeds at Ellen Road. Leeds up there in 2nd place. Couldn't take that 10-point win advantage if they had beaten Cardiff. Fulham tucked in there in 3rd. It could have been a lot worse for Fulham. Like I said, they lost at home to Brentford. But the draw for West Brom and the defeat for Leeds means it's not all over yet for Fulham. Will they use the defeat against Brentford as a kick up the backside and go at Leeds? Who knows? They didn't play terribly against Brentford, Fulham, but a bit sort of symptomatic of their season, really. Some nice stuff, but if they don't create a high-quality chance for Mitrovic, which he will score if they create it for him, he's proven that, then shut out and picked off at the end there. Harrison Reed played well. He didn't end the game, so interesting battle between him and Harry Arter. Cavaliero didn't start. Will he come back in there as well for Fulham? Going to be a very, very interesting one. From a Leeds point of view, I always say this, we know what Bielsa is going to do. The only plausible change, if Pablo Hernandez is fit, you would think he would start, which you wouldn't think either of the wide players would come out. So it would likely be Tyler Roberts that comes out. Pablo sits in the centre. Remember, he can move wide. He can go either side, really. But when you're looking at Leeds, you know you're going to get, Meslier, Ayling, White, Cooper, Dallas, Phillips, Klitsch, Hernandez probably, Costa, Harrison, Bamford. I don't even support Leeds, and I can name you the team off the top of my head because Bielsa does the same every single week. So it's all about the system. Both teams will try and pass. Look at that form from Leeds before the lockdown. Win, 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 win. But a defeat in there since. Let's take a look at some comments here on this one. Trevor says, Adoy to replace Brian on the left. Goodness me. Adoy playing down the right, Joe Bryant down the left-hand side suggests. Trevor, let's have a little looky Excuse me while I squeeze through all these comments. Absolutely loads and loads of them. I'm very, very sorry. I'll find the first one. There we go. Samuel, we're all overwhelmed by the new graphics. Do you know there was two options. One was minimal and one was standard or something. I clicked standard. Look at it. Bright, pretty colours. Elliot says 3-0 Fulham. Goodness me. Andrew says 1-0 Leeds. We've got 2-1 Fulham on the previous game there. For Bailey, Leeds says, I think a draw. I want a Leeds win. John, honestly, no idea about this. Leeds probably played better than Fulham, but made daft errors. This is do or die for Fulham. Yeah. Radaby Leeds will take a point from the Fulham game, then must beat Luton. He's totally right there. That would be absolutely fine. Just keep them at arm's length. Keep the games ticking down. Honestly, if it's more than a point's difference with you would take a 3-point lead going into the last game, wouldn't you? And your destiny being in your own hands, just draw, and that's how it would work. Samuel, we have crap attacking players, Ben, which is coached by a genius. That's a bit harsh, Samuel. Costa, Harrison, good players, aren't they? I know who he's referring to, but I'm not getting drawn on this. My reputation as a Bamford apologist goes before me here. Nick says 3 p.m. on a Friday is red. Did I say tomorrow? Oh, you got to love YouTube. Make a mistake. Someone will pick it up. Jaggy. Look, here comes the Leeds paranoia from Jaggy. Look, I think we'll batter them and still lose. There we go. Trevor. Leeds 1, Fulham 3. Goodness me. Mitro hat-trick. Andrew says Leeds will come out firing. Elliot says Raya kept them out. Good defence against a bottling Leeds. Who are they going to be up against? Hector, Ream, Rodak, maybe Harrison Reed sitting in front. Yeah, that's a pound for pound. That's a decent enough defence, isn't it? Colm, 2-1 either way, hedging his bets there. Andrew, 60% for Leeds. Yeah, that's a fairly standard stat, isn't it? Andrew says Pablo was out last Fulham meet. Yes, he was. I was there. He went off after about 30 seconds, didn't we? Samuel says, suggestion, Roberts injured. Might be a role for Poveda if Pablo not ready. Poveda in that central midfield. Hey, look, if Bielsa's not sure, you know exactly what he's going to do. Alioski will play left back, and Stuart Dallas will go wherever the damn hole is. So you could see Stuart Dallas in midfield ahead of Poveda, I would suggest to Samuel. But Poveda finally getting in there. Let's do a couple more. Fulham, comfortable win, says Tony. Nick says 3-1. Animation says, who I think will have more of the ball? Leeds. Even if it is an empty Ellen Road, it's still Ellen Road. Nonetheless, Radaby, the thing is, yes, Bamford isn't as bad as people say, but Tyler Roberts shows a lot of promise, so we want him up front instead. Interesting thought. A couple more. If Fulham win, one thing is for sure, the Leeds fan base will go into meltdown. Yes, they will indeed. Michael then says the opposite. Leeds win, Fulham going to capitulate. Very, very mixed on this. Look, if all my predictions of Leeds winning had happened this season, Leeds would probably have 100 points already, wouldn't they? I've predicted them to win a lot, but I've got to go with them. Again, I have to say. I just think even enough teams, but just look on the bench. Surely Bielsa can beat Parker in his first year of management, and we've seen Fulham lose some games naively. A fair amount, haven't we? So, quick point from Samuel. Lack of goals, assists from Costa Harrison exacerbates shortcomings of Bamford. In that system, you do need, and this is what Leeds have lacked, haven't they? A 10 or 12 goal, sort of number 8 joining in. They've never had that, had they? Izzy Brown, could he have done that if he'd ever managed to get fit in the first season under Bielsa? Let's move on now. So the top 4 all going against each other. This is Forest in 5th versus Huddersfield in 20th. I'm just going to remove that and I'll throw the table up just so you can have a quick look at Forest and Huddersfield there. Forest, look, they could finish the weekend plus 10 up in 4th, couldn't they? Get past Brentford. Huddersfield are still in trouble, aren't they? A couple of results go against them. Goal difference very, very even, and they are back in the relegation zone. Incredible that they would still be down there after all this time. Get your predictions in the comments for Forest versus Huddersfield. Forest, very draw heavy. Look at that. Draw, win, draw, loss, draw. That adds up to 7 points in the last 6. that will see them slipping downwards, not upwards, if that continues on. And I always say one thing about the Cowleys, look, a couple of wins in there and 7 points in 6 for Huddersfield. If you look it up, you'll probably find that the points per game between 4th and about 9th is probably not as good as it is for the bottom 6 at the moment, with all those teams winning down the bottom there. This will be tight, won't it? There won't be many goals, in my opinion. Lamouchi v Cowley. I'd have Forest winning this one by 1, I think. Need to get back into form, don't they? Else they will start looking over their shoulder. I don't know whether there's anyone who could put together the run they need to. But if Forest were to lose, there is Preston and Cardiff could go within a point. Blackburn and Swansea could go within 2 points with victories for any of those teams I have just mentioned. So Forest could find their playoff position a little bit wibbly wobbly. Let's have a look what you guys say. The league is so tight. Huddersfield are only 16 points off 6th in 20th. Yes, but there is a race on down the bottom there. That's specific animation. Mounier last minute header, 1-0. Jaggy says 1-0 Forest. He agrees with me. John says Forest were poor against Wednesday, but you think they have enough to see off Huddersfield. I'm kind of in that thought. Andrew, Forest 3-0, great squad this season. I'd like to see them go up with Leeds and West Brom. I have had them in the playoffs, haven't I? 0-0 says Elliot. He is expecting very, very little from this game by the look of it. I think I'm going to just go tight one, maybe a 1-0, like who was it? Jaggy said in the chat there. Always back Forest to be nice and tight and well organised. That's not going to leave Huddersfield in a very good spot down the bottom there. Could end the day either level on points with the relegation zone, or maybe in it. But obviously that requires Hull actually scoring a point at some point this season. We'll come on to Hull in just a minute. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Got some really good fixtures this week, haven't we? Preston in 6th position versus Cardiff in 7th position. If you're Cardiff and you wanted to get into that playoff position, who do you want? You want the team that's currently occupying it. Destiny in your own hands there. Preston have been very decent at home all season. Their form, I know we're counting the lockdown and 3 months off in this, is not great, is it? Lost one, lost, drawn, would say Beethoven there. They drew at Luton, which you would think would be an easier type of game. They have been flat track bullies. They couldn't get the win. I thought their team looked fairly strong. A lot of the names where I felt Alex Neil couldn't get them on the pitch altogether early in the season, I was seeing Johnson and Gallagher and Pearson and Maguire and Barkhausen and Sinclair all on the pitch together. So strong team and at home. Cardiff, good performance against Leeds. Really good, actually. Probably the only way Cardiff were going to beat Leeds was the way they did it. Not massive low block, but defensive nonetheless. Really clinical up the top. Leeds will give you a chance. I know their defensive record is good, but Leeds will give you a chance. And if you've got those ex-Premier League players and, some of those parachute-funded players, you're looking all right. I think Cardiff will get something from this one. Let's see what you guys say in the chat here. 1-1. Hit to the game. Preston, Cardiff, tough game. 1-1, says Andrew. Ian has got banker draw here. Jaggy. Cardiff, dark horses for promotion, in my opinion. 2-2, says Elliot. Everyone finds this one very, very even. Alex says this could easily be 0-0. I think I'm going to go with you guys. Let's go for 1-1. Preston will probably take the lead in the first half because they start well, don't they? And Cardiff probably equalise in the second half, and both sides will sit there and accept a point, won't they? Might be a bit rough and ready, mightn't it? But I think I'm going to go for a draw in that one, which will help neither team, but it might help Blackburn or Swansea or Forest, basically any of the teams immediately around them. Quick couple more here. Oliver says, beat both this season. Thought Preston would be a lot higher, not many places higher than 6th. 80, not sure how Preston are in the top 6. They look poor every time I see them. 2-1 against 2 on Cardiff win, obviously. Cole says 1-0 Cardiff. A lot of predictions for Cardiff to get something, which would keep them in the running there. They are Preston +5, Cardiff +4. It's close. Really, really close between those two teams. Level on points and 1 goal in it. Let's move on to Wigan versus Blackburn. Quick plug, please hit the thumbs up button to draw more people into this stream. And as it says down the bottom there, support the channel. Hopefully I'll give you good content, a bit of entertainment, bit of insight, previews, reviews, etc., live streams. So you can do that by super chat here on YouTube right now or subscribing on Patreon. Really help me out, help me deliver even better content for you guys. Great community here. End of plug. I just wanted to flash something up for you guys when it comes to Wigan, because I love Wigan at the moment. Let's have a little look-see here at the form table. If I get rid of that banner right there, and we have a look at the form table. Oh, you can't see who's bottom. I'm sure you can figure it out. Let me get rid of one more banner. Sorry, I've just thrown up Swansea v Luton. I need to scroll down. I'm trying my best with the new tech, guys. Trying my best. Have a look right up the top of that form table. Wigan, 4 wins, 2 draws in the last 6 games. 1 point off Leeds. Look at Barnsley just behind them as well. Just to say, Wigan have been absolutely brilliant recently. And I think we all know that, don't we? So I just wanted to flash that up there. No surprises with Hull at the bottom of that table. Look at Preston down there. Bristol City as well. 2 points in 6. Some interesting sort of telltale signs in that form table. For what it's worth, I look at really good form as 12 points from 6. Good form is 10 to 11 points. 9 points will probably get you in the top 8 every 6. Anything around 7 or 6, you're going to be struggling. Anything below 6, not good. That's how I look at the 6-game form chart. Wigan on fire, as I said. But Blackburn are good, aren't they? It's one of these northwest games. I would normally say Blackburn will take a big following to Wigan. Of course they won't. Just looks like Paul Cook has spent ages trying to get the right blend. And he's kind of got Kiefer Moore playing well now. Morsey always plays well for them. Dunkley at the back is sort of matured. Robinson's great. The left back feels like the team's developed as the season's gone on. They look really, really good. Blackburn, though, got some midfield players, Barry Rothwell and Evans in there, Holtby and Travis all fit at the same time, which had been a problem for Blackburn, hadn't it? It's a tight one. Before I predict another Wigan win, because they're brilliant at the moment, let's see what you guys have to say. Oliver says Blackburn and Wigan don't score a lot. Absolutely fair enough there. Andrew, Wigan, Blackburn, Wigan. Home win. John says, fancy Wigan, they always turn into Barcelona at the end of the season. There we go. Steve. Is Steve in New Zealand? Is that the right Steve? Wigan 1, Blackburn 1. Jaggy says, don't see Blackburn doing so well at all. Because I'm a very, very big fan of Wigan at the moment, I'm going to go for a Wigan home win. Wouldn't it be brilliant if this run kept going? I do have to say, though, if I were to figure out how to get rid of that and throw the... Thank you all for bearing with me, by the way, while I bluff my way around this technology. By God, you can't even see the bottom of the table. What an idiot. Wigan, the pace has just been so relentless down the bottom there. Luton with those 2 wins in there. Barnsley 4 wins in 6. And then Huddersfield, the 2 wins. You're looking for the 6 points. Where are the 6 points coming from? Wigan's amazing there. But look, if Wigan were to only score 1 point from the next 3 games, someone will probably catch them up the way this is all going. But as I always say with a relegation battle, look at the team third bottom. If they don't win, nothing is happening. Yeah. And a lot of people are suggesting that Hull might not ever win a game in their history. But we'll talk about Hull in just 1 second. I'm going for a Wigan victory because I'm on the Wigan bandwagon at the moment. Let's move on to Swansea versus Luton. This is Swansea in 9th position and within striking distance of the playoffs. If I'm Swansea, I think Blackburn have got a hard game of Wigan, and I think one of Preston and Cardiff are definitely going to drop points. And you guys have all predicted that's going to be a draw, which would kind of be good enough for Swansea to sneak past everyone if they can win this game. You would argue that a home game against the bottom team should be a victory, but Luton have been good, haven't they? I said those wins in there, the 7 points or what it is from the last 6 games is decent enough. Remember, any team that does that all season scores between 46 and 50 points, don't they? So, and we know it's going to be a high total, likely. Someone's going to get relegated with a fair amount of points this season. We've said that for a while now. Swansea, very good at Borough. Big collapse. Woodgate's last hurrah. We'll talk about Borough in a minute. Nathan Jones back at Luton. Rhian Brewster, 2 goals for Swansea. I'm looking at Swansea for this one, I have to say. Com says 1-1. Steve in New Zealand says 2-0 Swansea. We have a Luton win from Lee, a Swansea win from Andrew, a Luton win. Elliot's got a Luton win. And John says a home win all day long. I think Luton are going to score in this game. I think Swansea are going to score more. I don't see Luton shutting out Selina and Brewster and Ayew and Grimes and Byers and probably a lot of possession against them. They're always open, aren't they, Luton? But I do think they'll score. I do think they'll score, but I'm going to go for a Swansea win, which means if all my predictions happen, Swansea will end up the day in 6th and into those playoff positions. So if you're a Fulham fan, you're then looking at Swansea, although it's going to be musical chairs for that 6th position, isn't it? Let's move on. You'll remember we just looked at Bristol City right down low in that form table. Lost, drawn, lost. 2 points in 6. That is most definitely bottom of the table relegation form, isn't it? 2 points every 6 games. Sheffield Wednesday have been in free fall, but Gary Monk will always win you a game every now and then, won't he? They have 8 points from 5 points from the 6 games. Wednesday. That is that the right fixture? Have I got that right? Did they not play last week? I must have got that wrong, guys. Have I got that fixture wrong? Someone tell me in the chat, real quick. Let me just flash up my info goal. They clearly played last week, didn't they? Sheffield Wednesday and Bristol City. Sorry, guys, I must have got that one wrong. Excuse me. Working on the job here. Oh, my God. Oh, it's on Sunday, isn't it? Bristol City versus Sheffield Wednesday. Guys, did Bristol City and Sheffield Wednesday not play at the weekend? I'm so confused by this. Someone's going to have answered me. And Wednesday played Forest. Thank you, Animation. Sorry. I knew it was a team that wore red. Who did Bristol City play? Blackburn 3, Bristol Red. Thank you. Right, there you go. Sorry, I'm getting my reds and my blues and whites mixed up. I'm very sorry about that. So, yeah, Bristol City in not very good form at all. And they did lose at Blackburn, of course. Sorry, too many blues and whites and reds against me here. It's one of those ones where it's like both teams to lose, isn't it? I'm slightly edging towards Bristol City, I have to say. Let's have a look. Oliver says 1-1. 0-4 Wednesday. I just said Wednesday will get relegated, and that sums up how I see Bristol City. Wednesday away, 1-1. Wednesday, 1-0. Samuel says Johnson falling short even. Oliver says draw. One from Bailey on the Swansea game. Ayew is quality, should be in the Premier League. Yes, Ayew has done very well and surprised us all probably a bit by hanging around there. Bristol City, I'm just going to edge for Bristol City by 1 goal on the basis that whatever I predict Bristol City will do, they do the exact opposite, don't they? So 1-1, says Steve. How has Wells been doing since he left us at QPR, says Bailey. So, a bit like Bristol City, isn't it? Maybe that sums up Wells in the Championship. Playing a good team will score lows, playing in a bad team, he will not. Samuel says, any chance of profit and sustainability stuff being addressed this season? We've been asking for a long time, haven't we? It should be. and that might include Sheffield Wednesday. Remember, they've been let off their individual charges, but still have a charge hanging over the club. Remember that form table as we talk about Barnsley versus Millwall. Barnsley 23rd, but look at that, 4 wins in 6. They are in brilliant form. That is 12 points in 6 games. That is 2 points per game. That is outstanding. Millwall are, however, hard to beat under Mr. Gary Rowett, aren't they? Disappointing, though, because they led against Derby, who we'll talk about in the form table as well, because they were quite high up it, weren't they? Yeah, they led against Derby and lost in the first game back after lockdown. Millwall have got some players back, haven't they? Ben Thompson back in midfield. Smith playing well. He scored again, didn't he? Will the attacking good form of Barnsley be cancelled out by Gary Rowett back there? Will it be a draw, or will Barnsley keep up their good form? I hate to say, because I know we have a lot of Millwall fans in there, I'm struggling to see Millwall go there and win by anything more than 1-0. I think. Do you know what? I'm edging towards a draw here on this one. Collins says 2-2. Bailey 2-0 Barnsley. Elliot says 3-2 Millwall. Oliver says lose. He's a Millwall fan. Draw here. Always rely on Rowett to a point. Don't want to get demonetised. Away from home. Yeah, that was where I was, John, a little bit. Steve says 1-1. Samuel says, I'd have Woodrow at Leeds over the multiple Ballon d'Or winning Jean-Kevin Augustin. Yeah, some good players at Barnsley. Believe you me, they'll be able to sell. Is Wilkes back with Barnsley? He was at Hull, wasn't he? Did he go back to Barnsley? No clue whatsoever. One more from Andrew says Barnsley 2-1. It would be a shame if Millwall's season all just kind of petered out at the start of this restart period. Derby versus Reading. Koku versus Mark Bowen. Derby in really good form, aren't they? 3 straight wins, only 1 defeat in there. 11 points from the 6 games is very good. Something else that's very good is Louis Sibley. I worry a bit about these young players when they come in and do absolutely brilliantly, because then you just expect them to score every single week and be brilliant. But obviously we have very high hopes for Louis Sibley based on his 2 appearances and 4 goals so far. And maybe we'll see him in the 10 position again. Who knows? Don't know what's happening with the Chris Martin contract issue there. Obviously there's the Wayne Rooney factor as well, making me think that I might fancy Derby for this one. Reading bought Lucas Shaw back. He scored and then got injured again, which is kind of Lucas Shaw all over, really, isn't it? People kept telling me for weeks, oh, Ben, Derby outside playoff candidates. And I'm like, nah, that's not happening. If they win, they will be on 57 points, and one or other of Preston and Cardiff, who are currently 6th or 7th, will have a maximum of 58 points, bearing in mind one has to lose or they could draw. So, look, if Derby keep winning, it could be the streak of all streaks. I mean, maybe Aston Villa nailed the streak of all streaks, but they had Abraham, Grealish and a ludicrously high wage bill. So this would be a little bit different. But a couple more wins, or maybe even a 4-pointer off the next 2 or something, Derby could be in there. It's going to chop and change between, I think, 12th and 6th, isn't it? And could Forest even get dragged lower by the rising tide beneath them? Let's see what you guys say. John, Derby win for me. Elliot, 2-0, both from Sibley. But then he will never score again in the team every week. That's tremendous, Elliot. Or he'll score another 2 and then go somewhere for 7 million. But that somewhere would normally be Derby, wouldn't it? And then never score again. Well, Derby haven't got any money anymore, have they? Derby win, says Andrew. Steve says Derby 3-1. We're strongly behind Derby here, aren't we? Trevor says Chris Martin not retired yet. Derby have England's best goal scorer, lol, wage bill. Yeah, I wonder if it's actually going through the wage bill or if there's some weird sponsorship thing and 32 Red goes in the sponsorship ledger and Derby is sponsoring Wayne Rooney, not paying him as a footballer. I'm sure Mel Morris will come up with something creative. But look, I've loved watching Rooney in the Championship, I have to say. But yes, I'm sure he's terribly expensive. Charlton versus QPR. Can we call that a derby? South London versus West London? Yeah, I'm sure we can call it a derby. It's probably only 10 miles or something between them, isn't there? Sorry, any Londoners who are going to correct me on my geography. Get your predictions in. Hit the thumbs up button, obviously, as well. Big win for Charlton last week at Hull. They dropped into the bottom three before lockdown, stayed there for 3 months, and then won their first game back. I suppose it would be a good time for me to flash the table up yet again. Let's see if I can do this in a less grandad type way. There it is. So Charlton, yeah, lovely weekend for them in terms of position, being 19th, but still you would rather there was more than 1 point between you and Hull, and obviously Barnsley's ridiculous 12 points in 6 games. If anything like that continues, then this hella chase and the tide rising will continue. Good for Charlton to actually get Tomer Hemed in up top. We're all worrying about Lyle Taylor, and it didn't really get mentioned when it should have, that Tomer Hemed is a proven Championship player and did well for Brighton, didn't he? So maybe he fills the gap with Macaulay Bonne up front. If they can just stop ridiculous stuff happening off the pitch, I think Lee Bowyer can keep Charlton up. I think there may well be worse, although we do have the Warnock factor to talk about in a minute. QPR, capable of anything, aren't they? They could score 5 goals in this game, or they could score 0. I wonder if QPR are going to fall into dead rubber land. They are slap bang 4 points off the playoff chase where Derby start, and well above relegation with 9 points. Let's go for a Charlton win, I think. Let's go for their momentum to continue. Elliot says 3-3. Jim, QPR win. Charlton 2-1, says Steve. Bailey says, we all concede because Grant Hall has left. Yeah, Rangers have been really, any out-of-contract players, get them out there. 2-1 to Rangers, more hope than reason. Calm says 1-1. Oliver says lose. Oh, Charlton lose, please. John, can't see Charlton scoring enough without Taylor. Draw there. Lee wants a Charlton win. Charlton surprise win indeed there. Yeah, fair bit of love for Charlton in there. I think, yeah, I'll go for them. That probably put the hex on, won't they? Right, 2 more to go, and then we'll do some questions at the end. Birmingham City. Doesn't look like I've got enough games in Birmingham's form there, does it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do apologise. I'm sure we've got John and Kian in the chat. They'll tell me the actual form of Birmingham. Draw. I think it should be 4 draws, loss, and then draw. Needless to say, it proves the point that Birmingham draw a lot, but they don't draw as much as Hull lose. Hull are absolutely terrible, aren't they? And they have free fallen from January, where they were probably, I don't know, we have to check the old tables, 10-4, 11-4 something. Do you remember when they beat Fulham 3-0 and you're like, wow, outside playoff bet for Hull? No, sell Bowen, sell Grzycki. If anyone hasn't seen it, the story in the Athletic about the ridiculousness of what's going on behind the scenes there. Sadly, if you run a championship club and you have parachute money and then you don't have parachute money anymore and you're not prepared to take a financial loss, then honestly, it would be the equivalent of going from, I don't know, Waitrose to pound stretcher or something within 1 day. It's a very difficult adjustment to make, and it looks like they've been forced to make that adjustment in the space of 3 months, in which they've seemed to have just lost every single game. I've got to go for a Birmingham win here, even though Pep Clotet is dead man walking, and I don't know, Nigel Clough's been talked to and Chris Hughton's been talked to, and they're interested in Lee Bowyer. I think, look, 90 minutes of Jukovic and Hogan against Hull, that's at least 2 goals, I think, isn't it? Let's have a look here. What do people say here? Birmingham 2, Hull 0. Hull are already on holiday. 27-0, Elliot. Sensible, yeah. Lee says, looks like a 0-0. Cole and Birmingham to win to 0. John, I love it when we get teams of they're all so paranoid about their own team. They always predict a defeat there, even if it against Hull. Samuel is off to have his fajitas. I do understand, Samuel. Go and enjoy your fajitas. I don't know what you're having in them: lamb, chicken, veg, tofu. Who knows? Put anything in fajitas, can't you? Jam fajitas. There we go. I'm talking nonsense again. 0-0, ball draw, says Alex. Interesting one from Mike, who says 7-5. Anyway, we're talking Birmingham, Hull. Andrew says 3-0. Oliver says, you hear Charlton have to pay 64 million to the last owner. Yeah, that's not going to happen, as these debts just sit there and roll around for years and years. They'd have to close the club down and he'd get nothing. So he can wait, can't he? If Hull go down, you think they'll be able to bounce back? Seems iffy. Does feel iffy. Similar sort of thing to Ipswich, you would imagine. Although it could even be a Sunderland type thing. There, 5-0. Birmingham. John is singing a Michael Jackson song for some reason. I don't know. I just thought the most ridiculous thing to put in a fajita. Quavers for tea. Oh, we're not going to get into tea dinner. What does this mean, Elliot? I've got no idea what you're talking about. 1-0 Burnley, says Graham. Who are Burnley playing? Someone tell me in the chat. Jay Rodriguez puts Burnley 1-0 up versus Watford. Interesting. Premier League games going on at the moment. Liverpool can win the title tonight, can't they? If the results go their way. On the Wednesday hearing, Jim says Wednesday's EFL hearing in progress still. That's Hull's only chance of staying up. Jim, you could still see Barnsley finishing above Hull and, Wednesday falling just below that one team. We will see. Mark's arrived. He says, just got on. West Brom win. Seem to play well against teams who want to play football, not park the bus. Talks of Victor Orta going to Leipzig. Interesting. I think Victor Orta has been quite good for Leeds. Be interested in Leeds fans' views on that. I sat near him at Hull, actually. I didn't want to trouble him. Right, Stoke. That's revealed my pretentious seating arrangements, hasn't it? Again. Right, Stoke. Last one versus Borough. And I just want to talk about Colin, don't I? Neil Warnock back at Borough. Lost, drawn, one loss. Didn't work under Woodgate. Here comes Neil Warnock. Expect Borough to finish in 9th place or something ridiculous and win 7 of their last 8 games, 1-0 with goals from corners and throw-ins. I know a lot of people are mixed on Warnock. I love him. I think he's a brilliant, hilarious character. And I like tactical diversity in the league. I like having to see Bielsa against Warnock. I think it's brilliant. And then if Warnock can beat Bielsa, then how did it happen? And vice versa. And how does Bielsa go against Warnock and the long throws and the slowing down the game and all that? I think it's great to have him back. And now that gives me a little kind of favouritism towards Borough. Has he been in there long enough to affect them? Probably, knowing him. Michael O'Neill will likely be back on the bench for Stoke after his COVID. This is a difficult one to call. Maybe I might just side with the Warnock factor. Let's see what we got here. Neil Free Warnock, says Elliot. Jaggy, I'm indifferent to him. Had some good, some bad there. Speaks a Leeds fan, though. Didn't do well there, did he? Stoke v Borough prediction. This is detailed. 2-1 Stoke. Nice one, Harvey. Tyrese Campbell, James McLean to score. Borough's new manager bounce does worry me, however. I think we'll have a nice quality. And there we go. If everyone could make their predictions as cogent and detailed as Harvey's, this would literally become the place to be for pretentious analytical, not saying you're pretentious, Harvey, I'm saying I am, but very good analytical. There we go. There's the other side of it. A dirty 1-0 win for Colin, says Cole. He will scare them into winning, says Elliot. 2-1 Stoke, says Mike. Oh, he's got Ryan Shotton, hasn't he? Amazing. Ryan Shotton's not trained all week. He's just been doing like bicep curls and shoulder exercises, hasn't he? Amazing. Andrew's kind of feeling where I was a little bit there. Stoke with Warnock arrived too late in the season. Where are we going? As Warnock coming back, mean he was pushed from Cardiff? Possibly. I don't know. He seemed to be getting on very well with Mehmet Dalman and Vincent Tan there. So who knows? Who knows? I love him. Always thought he'd suit Millwall so well. It's like the ultimate Millwall manager, isn't he? Stoke 1, Borough 1, says Steve. Managers bouncing around between teams. Needs fresh managers in the league. I do agree, but Warnock is a special case there, isn't he? He's your kind of guarantee in the Championship if you can put up with certain football stylings. I think Borough's players are better than a Warnock boot up front system. Sadly, Woodgate tried that, didn't he? Warnock with Rangers in 2011, Tarabt. There we go. Warnock supposedly accepted the Wednesday job a few years ago. I bet he'd deny that, wouldn't he? Unless he said it himself. Stoke have a decent squad, should be much higher up. I've just got, look, I don't think it's going to happen, but I want to predict a 1-0 win for Borough with a goal from a long throw, and the throw like bounces twice. They can't clear it, and someone just like forces it over the line. It doesn't even hit the net, and they still get the win. That will be what I want to see from Warnock. I want to see the ball only in play for about 40 minutes during the whole 90, and I want a clean sheet for Borough. Welcome back, Colin. The point about managers, just quickly, there was an unprecedentedly long time between Neil Harris going in at Cardiff, and then I think, correct me in the comments, I'm sure someone will, there wasn't a managerial change. I remember adding it up at one point, probably until Graham Jones left Luton, and it was something like 3-4 months. And in the Championship, we normally get, I think it averages out every 30 days or something, we get a managerial change. So, yeah. Does not bode well for the three Championship teams promoted. 2 out of 3 go down this season. Villa and Norwich. Arguably last season's standard was better in the Championship. I agree with all of that. Standard was high, especially at the top of the league, wasn't it? And only, well, Sheffield United flying the flag there, but hopefully they don't come completely unstuck and finish 12th or something, because they deserve high, don't they? 1-0 win. Borough bounced off the back of a defender, says Lee. That's what we like to see. Right. I believe we are there for all of our predictions there. Let's do some Q&A. I'll just quickly flash that up. Hit the thumbs up button if you're still in the chat. God, I've gone a long time. Look at that. 47 minutes. Give me your opinion on one thing quickly, guys, while you're on. Still getting asked to do a watch-along. Would you watch a watch-along of a Championship game? I might do one possibly on Sunday if that's the case. I won't go one way or the other, but at the moment I'm trying the stream before the game for the preview, the half-time. Would you watch a game and just chit-chat with me and the rest of the community? Or am I getting it right? Do you prefer the content? I'm not second-guessing myself. I obviously had a system on the channel which got completely screwed over by lockdown. So let me know what you think about that. Any other questions, get them over in the comments. Again, Super Chat, Patreon, that would be great. Help me deliver the best content for you guys possible. Community is brilliant here, as you can see. So many familiar names, such good knowledge in here. Standard last season on the whole wasn't great. We stayed up on 46 points. That's a good point, Alex. That is a good point. Top of the table standard might be a little bit lower, but at the bottom, and maybe it's because teams can take points and we don't get that thing of the top 6 always beating the bottom 6. But bottom of the table, it's going to be the highest for a while, probably for someone getting relegated. Although Hull might not score another point, but Barnsley will go past them, won't they? Let's have a look. Elliot, no to a watch along. I've had a fair few no's, Elliot, so thank you for your feedback. Does Blackburn have a YouTube fan channel? There is one, Robin, because I've been on it. I can't remember his name. It's a guy in Canada or America somewhere, and I apologise for forgetting his name. Halftime and after, yeah. We'll look out for that because that's what we've been doing. Lee says, funny how football is different as a viewer without a crowd. Proves football is about the fans. I agree. One thing that has been good, though, is we haven't had many crazy freak results where a team's just flipped over. They have been, on the whole, especially if we looked at the Championship, and people all say the Championship is mental. All those results last time, I would have been like, okay, I'll buy all of that. There wasn't any Luton 6, Preston 0, or I don't know, Hull 4, Charlton 2, or some weirdness like that. Alex says, try a watch along. Only way to find out would just be me rambling, I think. Trevor, prefer preview half-time or full-time? Mike, personally wouldn't, because I'd be watching my team, but I love the content. So in depth, and you come from a brilliant place for listening. Thank you, Mike. Very, very kind. We're trying to make this entertaining and fun, but still, I think, and I don't want to be snobby about this, I think all you guys are kind of the connoisseurs of football a little bit, aren't you? You kind of watch it with a depth that is fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not having to pop at other YouTube channels, scenes and limbs and, here's an away stand bouncing and some chants. But I think you guys want a bit more than that. So I could try a watch along. If it's boring, we'll watch an old-time team. An old-time team, excuse me, with Tony Robinson. There you go. Can I remember a season this competitive? Well, the thing is, Mike, we always get an area of the table. Remember, if one area isn't competitive, that condenses another. So there'll always be either a hot relegation scrap, which we seem to have got, a hot playoff chase, which we seem to have got. It's just up the top there where, frankly, if Leeds and West Brom score 7 points. Let's put the table up. Let's just thrash this out. You can all search the form table. You can see the table. If Leeds and West Brom both get 7 points from the next three, that will be 78 with 41 played, 5 to go. And they would have both taken 3 off Fulham and Brentford. And basically the last 5 games, Leeds and West Brom, sorry if I misspoke there, would basically need, 1.2 points per game for the rest of the season just to get over the line. Andrew says, watch-alongs are good. Turn the commentary off on the football and listen to that. Yeah, thank you. Do you remember J. Emmanuel Thomas? You can see that Ipswich scarf up there. There you go. Yes, Roy Keane. I think it was Roy Keane. It wasn't Jim Majoon, was it? Roy Keane paid a lot of money for J. Emmanuel Thomas. He played a couple of games that were utterly brilliant, a bit like Finidi George, and then he was terrible. Yeah, but yes, I remember J. Emmanuel Thomas. On a talent level, really, really good. But yeah, just couldn't put it together as a professional footballer for 40 games a season, like a lot of talented players. Alex says, I remember Peterborough going down on, it was 55, wasn't it? That will take some beating, yeah. Can anyone see Hull scoring 55 points? That would be no, they're definitely not going to score 55, but it's going to be high. I think I can see all of Wigan, Stoke, probably Huddersfield and Borough as well, especially with Warnock there, getting close, 47 to 50 points, can't they? It would just be a shame after all of these runs if Barnsley, Hull and Luton all slowed right down and there was no chase. That's pretty much what happened last year, wasn't it? And Rotherham gave it a pretty good go, but it was a bit of a damp squib, wasn't it? Do you think any neutral venues now, Championship neutral venues now, Man City, Liverpool's going ahead? No, I think if Liverpool, Man City goes ahead, that's pretty much the biggest game you can get in the country at the moment. So, cool. People's comments might be a little bit more expletive during the games. We get a fair amount of expletives on here anyway, don't we? By the way, I don't mind anybody swearing, but YouTube, they make you fill in a thing about your monetization and they make you promise you're not going to swear. So there you go. Right, Elliot says, I want you to do a podcast, Benny boy, dearie me. I'm now putting all these up as podcasts. I know that's not a lot of use to you already watching it videos, but if you don't mind, go subscribe to the feed. And if, for example, you're working or you're too busy to watch or, I don't know, whatever, shopping, hanging with the partner or what have you, check the podcast feed and you can listen to these while you're driving or whatever. So, I am going to do some Patreon only without wishing to sound like I'm pushing for the big Yankee dollar there, but I kind of am because I'd love to do this for a living, but I need your guys' support. Just shows how much Millwall fans are the 12th man. We're an average side without, a bit harsh. Oliver's still a good side there. Lee says red or white. Do you know what? There's 2 bottles of red downstairs. There's 1 bottle of sparkly, but I think Shaylee's going to want to have that on Saturday. So I will be drinking red wine literally as soon as this broadcast is finished. Thank you, Lee, for inquiring. There's only second tier for podcasts. Yes, second tier are good. Not the top 20 are good as well. Yeah, that is about it for Championship. Hey, this might work better as a poll. We'll see how the numbers do. But I love communicating with you guys in this form. But you're absolutely right. Second tier are good. Check out Justin from second tier on my channel talking Derby. If we need to lower the tone, we can, Ben. Can we just use asterisks and hyphens and things of that nature? Do you remember when Man City beat Ipswich? I remember Man City beating Ipswich lots of times. Are you talking about on the TV in the FA Cup in 2002? I could probably do Ipswich potted history. They were 3-0 down and a man down. No, I don't remember that. I would definitely remember that. I was there. Am I making? You're not talking about Spurs? I think you're talking about Spurs. Man City had a ridiculous one, didn't they? Barrow, how many years since they were in the league? Quiz question. Anyone know? 40? 50? Am I as passionate about international footy as I are with the club footy? Now, I don't want to upset anybody now because I bet we've got loads of England fans in here. No, I'm not. I really love Ipswich. I really love club footy. I loved Italia 90 and World Cup 98 and probably 2002 as well. But maybe I'm a bit of a fair weather international supporter. I got into it in 2018, as everybody did. But no, not quite. Let me know if you are in the comments here. Barnsley are our bogey side, says Alex, the Millwall fan, so they'll keep the pressure up. Elliot, kindly ask, how much is Patreon? You can donate anything you like on Patreon, but $5 a month for the subscription. The podcast is on Acast.com. Yes. Andrew says, great stream as always, got a dash. I'm seeing if I can go a full hour here. Go on, Ben. Go and have a glass. Yeah, I'm on it. Don't you worry. I will. I'm working a 4-day week at the school at the moment, my redeployment, so I have Fridays off. No sleepy head. USA and South Africa fan here. It's rough. Wow. David says, is the podcast available on Stitcher? Yeah, if you type in, I don't know if you can see my phone here. I'll bring it up for you. This thing up here, can I point at it? The Benjamin Bloom Football Show. Just type in Benjamin Bloom, and it should, if I bring it up here, my shows, there is my Acast feed, and I'm just throwing all of the stuff up here. Ipswich produced the original hopeless defender, Titus Bramble. Jim, do you realise how good Titus Bramble was for Ipswich? He was incredible. Yes, he had some hapless moments, but I may be a Bamford apologist. I'm also a Bramble apologist. That guy played 300, I think, Premier League games. I think there's a stat that says he's one of the highest English non-capped Premier League appearers of all time. Yes, he had some blonde moments. He made millions from the game. He wasn't John Terry. Yeah, he wasn't Jamie Carragher or Rio Ferdinand. But he was a damn good footballer who had a very good career, despite some silly off-the-pitch moments. And I'd love to talk to Titus about it. I've got 1 degree of separation, but it's finding the right approach. Used to love watching England, but prefer club footy. Shaft. That was me trying to do the Shaft music again. Do you think you'll be covering all leagues rather than just the Championship? To be fair, you've become a Championship guru, and your Championship knowledge is immense. Thank you very much, Shaft. Whatever I do, and I make this as a promise, because a guy sent me a very polite comment yesterday. He wasn't trolling me, I promise. Don't go and attack him on my behalf, saying, Ben, why are you doing Sheffield United, Man United? I'm just trying to keep things up during lockdown. If I do start doing FA Cup, Premier League, whatever, there will be no less Championship content, okay? No less Championship content. It will be added on. So the people who are getting Championship content at the moment, you won't get anything less. I would love to have all the time in the world and do this full time and do both. That would be wonderful. But in order for me to have the requisite amount of knowledge I have to do the Championship, it's been a long process talking to you guys for a couple of years now, studying. So, yeah, I'd like to. I would really, really like to. Lewis, Derby, top of the form table since Rooney came. Wow. That would be December or January 1st. I was there, wasn't I, against Barnsley. Best player in the league, massive influence on the team. Certainly the most storied career in the league, probably technically one of the best players in the league. But we always look at upside in the future, don't we? And obviously Rooney has none of that. But I've loved him, Lewis. I think he's been great. And I saw him score a silly Panenka penalty against Fulham in real time. In fact, I filmed it for the YouTube channel. And as he hit it, I figured out what he was doing. I just started laughing. I thought it was the most brilliant thing I've seen. Great player. Alex is talking Millwall, Hutchinson, Doughton, Pearce. 18-year-old Hayden Muller at centre-half on Saturday. Interesting with Jake Cooper. Well, Jake Cooper would be a good partner to see you through. Wednesday, I've been linked with Mason Bennett at Derby. Interesting. Bennett will end up at Millwall, won't he, Jim? Yeah, Oliver says Bennett has signed for Millwall, so I have heard. Millwall very clandestine with their transfer fees. Bailey says thoughts on Joey Barton. His stupid attitude and anger incidents ruined him for me. Enjoyed watching Fleetwood, I have to say. Yes, I agree. Joey Barton's he's like one of those kids at school who will have a good week, but in the end they'll always get in trouble and let you down at some point, won't they? So I think he could be a good manager, though. I've been impressed by what I've seen at Fleetwood, and he's serving his apprenticeship well, I think. Bennett looked a good player at Forest, typical Millwall to get player on loan and then lose him. Elliot says, do you rate Ivan Toney? Will he settle in the Championship? This all depends on how depressed the transfer market is, how much Dara the Explorer wants to hold out for the fee, because it's all very well Dara McAntony saying, I want 10 million, 12 million, 15 million. But if he's only got 7 million on the table by probably even before the start of the new season, because they want to retool there and sort the balance out, then I think he'll sell. In which case it could be Championship, but then are there going to be any big signings in the Championship at all? You'd think he might end up at Burnley or Crystal Palace or something like that. Where did he start, Tony? Newcastle, wasn't it? So yeah, but struggle to see. Hi Ben. Sorry, just look, great shirt. Thank you. What do you reckon? Leeds' chances this weekend. Top of the show, I've got Leeds for a win over Fulham, but I very predictably, in my besotted nature over Marcelo Bielsa, always predict that, don't I? Stephen Fletcher, Morgan Fox and Forestieri rejected new deals. God, that's some wages. Fletcher and Forestieri. Well, Chansiri's at least finally saving some money. Where will Forestieri end up? I don't think he's a spring chicken anymore. Oliver says, from Millwall, we need a winger and not a forward. We have Bradshaw, Smith-Wallace and Ben Thompson for that. Mitro's goal was better than Rooney's. Mitro always scores, though, doesn't he? Says Trevor. Wednesday have tons of strikers. Do you remember when Wednesday didn't go up? And who did they have? Hooper, Zhao, Forestieri, someone else good. They'd spent an absolute fortune, haven't they? Sharp says, I've been watching you non-stop since the Leeds Villa match report from Villa Park when Leeds came back from 2 down to win 3-2. I challenge anybody to name a better Championship match than they've seen than Villa 2, Leeds 3. That was incredible. The only thing it lacked was Grealish. He wasn't fit, was he? Absolutely incredible game, that. And that was my first experience. That was the day because I'd seen Leeds a couple of times before and they didn't have Ruth and Hernandez. And I thought, my God, who is this Bielsa guy at that point? Yeah, brilliant game, Shaft. Thoughts on Angel Rangel? We signed him on until the end of this season. Yeah, he's a classic player, Angel Rangel. Will he get that many games? Who the other right back? Manning's the left back. I can't even remember who's there. I like Fletcher, but he's 33 now. You would think Stephen Fletcher, if someone took him in the Championship, even around mid-table, and played him for 35 games, even age 33, I think he'd still score a fair few goals, wouldn't he? Leeds 1, Villa 1. I was at that one as well. That was a bit of a dead rubber, wasn't it? But Leeds v Derby playoff, I was there too. The only issue with the Leeds Derby playoff was that was a classic example of a team losing it mentally, basically. So whereas the Leeds Villa game, Both teams played well in that game. Brilliant fight back, 2-2 to 3-2. At Villa Park, I love Villa Park. I'm sorry, I mean, just absolutely brilliant. Millwall 4, Leeds 3 was better. There we go. And Nketiah so wasted at Leeds. Has he scored? Has he scored today? Nketiah. Let me just bring up info goal. The problem with Bielsa, and there aren't many, is that if you don't immediately start showing him that you're really sort of feeding into his instructions. Southampton 0, Arsenal 2, and Nketiah Willock. There we go. Great stuff. Good shout, Ollie. Oh, Shaft, you wonderful man. What a gentleman. Shaft, 10 quid. He's donated there. That is so kind. I do not touch any of this. It goes into the pot, and maybe there'll be a chance for me to take a gamble at some point and kill off some work and hopefully start to do this full time. That's very, very kind, Shaft. Thank you so much. Todd Kane. Here we go. Had a right back, fast but not so good. Warburton uses him as a superstar. I saw Todd Kane play wing back at Millwall early in the season. Played quite well. He looked solid, but not spectacular. Birmingham 4, Leeds 5. Yeah, I was gutted I missed that. Remember, there was Villa 5, Forest 5 as well, and I think Forest only had about 4 shots in that game and managed to score 5 goals. There's a few belters as well from outside the box in there. Right, Borough getting rid of Ayala. Been offered to Leeds on a free. Graham says, Neil Warnock is not going to get rid of Ayala if he can help it. He will absolutely love that guy, won't it? Elliot. Elliot's been a troublemaker today. Into the wine pot. Not going in the wine pot. I promise you. I absolutely promise you. I am genuinely trying to make an attempt at making a go at this channel, and we've got the Patreon and we've got the super chat here. So I promise I'm not gonna drink it. I absolutely promise. That was getting me through lockdown. Thank you. Yeah, difficult doing videos every day during lockdown, but we try. Going to be lots of players going about cheap this summer. Some players going to have to take some wage cuts, aren't they? Particularly people like Forestieri. I wonder what is Forestieri? Argentinian? Is he? I suspect he may go to Europe somewhere, mightn't he? Alex says Leeds female 2-0 up, Leeds down to 10, come back to lead 3-2. Tom Elliott, wow. Ipswich were heavily linked with him. He's not a good player, is he? Jed Wallace grabbed an injury time winner. Classic stuff there. Thank you, Trevor, agreeing with Shaft there. Bailey says, thoughts on Jack Robinson? Wasn't so good at QPR. Now can keep up the pace at the Prem. I think he's going to... Do you know what? I think Chris Wilder did something very, very clever. I think he bought some championship players that he kind of would have been happy with if they hadn't had a good season, that he can develop into his style. It seems fairly clear, though, that Wilder has also bought people like Mousset and Berg to be first teamers. And I don't think Robinson will become a first teamer when you've got Egan, O'Connell and Basham. But he's acquitted himself pretty well. But Martial was on fire yesterday, so not going to happen in terms of the first team, I don't think, yet. Elliot, I'll do Patreon when I pay. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you so much. I nearly jumped out of the window when we scored. There we go. What do you think of Kieran Freeman? A couple of Oxford fans. We get God. That would be a great signing. Yeah, Kieran Freeman, good player. George Baldock ahead of him at Sheffield United. Yeah, very, very good indeed. Argentinian with an Italian passport, I think. He'll get playing Italy, won't he? Yeah, for sure. Alex, will Sharp drop into the Championship next season? We'd love him. I'd just like to remind you, Mr. Neil Warnock has just signed for Middlesbrough. Can you imagine Billy Sharp and Neil Warnock for one season in the Championship? Gold, absolute gold. The Master Championship goal scorer, the Master Championship manager. Were they together at Leeds? Were they? I think Wednesday only offered 1-year deals on very reduced wages. Yeah, those Wednesday players are on a fortune, Jim, aren't they? Isn't Jordan Rhodes still getting 40 grand a week out of those? And Norwich literally couldn't even afford him with the Premier League money, could they? Do I remember Kai Kamara? Did he play for Fulham? Played for Middlesbrough. He's been over here in the MLS quite a prolific scorer? Possibly, yeah. If he played for Fulham, I'm thinking of the same guy. Kind of mixed race looking guy, really quick. Is that the right guy? I'm struggling to remember. Fulham had a lot of kind of 7, 8, 10 million quid European or players signed from European clubs over that Premier League run. Right. Johnny Russell is great in him. I thought Johnny Russell was a good player for Derby under Steve McLaren. Oh my God, that'll curdle your bloody cream. Rhodes on 40 to 60 grand a week. Got another year left too. My God. Chansiri bet the bloody farm on Jordan Rhodes, didn't he? And I kind of don't blame him, but on a 4-year deal, my God, that backfired. Alex says, so is Bradley Wright Phillips good in the MLS? Fair point. Isn't he like the all-time top scorer in the MLS? Oh my God, would I take Ross McCormack at Ipswich next season if I had the choice? The Ross McCormack that scored 4 goals in one game against Leeds and was against Charlton for Leeds and was absolutely brilliant. Yes. The fat Ross McCormack who hid behind his gate and Steve Bruce came to his house to find him for not turning up for training. Maybe not so much, but talented guy. Oh, Trevor, you smart guy. Diamanti camera. He used to do that when he scored. I remember now. He was a good player. Sam, get it right. Bradley Wright Phillips was prolific in the MLS. Elliot, is that Ted Bishop at Ipswich? Is he any good? No, absolutely terrible. You don't want him at all, Elliot. No, he's a good player, very good player. The joke someone made about Louis Sibley earlier, Ted Bishop has struggled with that. He came in when Mick had the team playing well in 14-15. He was next to Skews. He had Berra and Smith and Chambers behind him and Daryl Murphy and Dave McGoldrick up top. He came into a decent team and just burst onto the scene. You can imagine with a McCarthy team, him and McGoldrick was the only flair player there. And he's just been injured ever since, but good player. Old school midfielder. I'm not comparing him to Gascoigne, but you know how Gascoigne from centre midfield would just drive, not from a number 10 position, but from like a number 8 position. Bishop actually does that. So, look, Gascoigne was ridiculous, wasn't he? But he wants to be that type of player. Could be very, very good. Kai Kamara was on loan at Norwich. I do not remember this guy at all. Charlie good at Northampton. I'll check Northampton out in the playoffs. Oliver says, how is the Patreon coming along? Oliver asked from a very kind position because he has subscribed for the Patreon. Looking good, Oliver. We have got 25 Patreons, all paying $5 a month, which is absolutely fantastic stuff. I'm so grateful to every last one of them. In fact, some of them have opted to pay 10, which is so kind. Obviously, we need to build it up as we go, and then I can start putting in some extra content for you guys there. That feels like a good final sort of plug. Thank you, everybody. 1 hour, 13 minutes in. If you've stayed here all through the 1 hour, 13 minutes, you have my utmost respect. That is brilliant. I'm starting to get that fan in the eye thing I got the other day. Just smash the fan up, drop it on the floor. Right, the plan is tomorrow, Brentford, Fulham, before, middle, after. Saturday, unless the barbecue starts early, Fulham, Leeds, before, middle, after. Maybe we'll try the watch along on Sunday. We'll have a look. Who is it? Bristol City, Sheffield Wednesday, and one other game. So let's do some shout outs there. Heretic says, different eye, is it? God, it's definitely the fan blowing in then. Shout out to Lee. If you want to shout out, just quickly hit a comment, although I shouted most of you out with the stuff there. Off to watch Man City Chelsea. Is that an 8:15 kickoff? Yeah. Do you know what? If Shadey's still baking, I might get away with watching some of that. Just quickly, I should plug her stuff as well. Go Instagram, Shaylee Bakes. Go and check out her brilliant baking. If you want to get your parents or something, or your wife or your husband or whoever a present, Shaylee Bakes on Patreon. I'm really going for it today, aren't we? Right. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. See you all over the weekend, no doubt, many times. Thank you, and over and out.